Hello everyone, and welcome to part 0, so-called, of Hogwarts Legacy Kill Ranrock, or if you would like to call it more PG, Defeat Ranrock tutorial. So this is basically the part where we explain the setup of the game, of course, the basic rules. It's quite an important part, but still unnecessary to make it as a part 1 because part 1 is would like to be right into the game itself. So important thing, first of all, before we start, I'm currently recording it slightly after the part 1 for some reason. First one I'd like to share, I'd like to mention is that we are playing on the previous patch of the game, of course, because the current patch sadly, let's say, destroyed half of really important tricks in this run. So this is, as you can see in this main menu, this is the build version of the game we are currently playing. Important note, the tutorial on how to downpatch the game, first of all, it's sadly only possible through Steam. So if you're playing on another platform, for example, Switch, PS4 and 5, Xbox, you're not able to downpatch the game. It's set through, but can't do a lot about that. Second of all, it's possible only throughout Steam, so Epic Games, as far as I'm aware, GOG doesn't allow it if the game is on that shop. And also, sadly, Epic Games Store for sure doesn't have that feature on, so if you want to speedrun the game on the previous patch, you have to own the game on Steam. And how to do exactly this down patch? Of course, there's gonna be a lot of link down in the description explaining a bunch of stuff, but my main recommendation, of course, the first link is to Hogwarts Legacy speedrunning server, where we speedrunners are there. You can find their new strategies, new routes, because the game is still actively worked on, and for example, this tutorial might be already soon enough outdated, like a half year or a year later on, just because the new route changes and I'll have to like re-record this old stuff. But yeah, if you want to keep updated with the route, Hogwarts Legacy speedrun server, there's everything, stuff that are found by people, new strats, new routing things, and etc, etc. Come there, really important. And also I'll link down in the description the message explaining how to downpatch the game. It should be clear fairly much, or it's like a document, it doesn't matter. The downpatching method will be down there. So without further ado, what do we do before the run? First, an important stuff as the moderator of the game must be kept at 120 FPS. The reason why is that really early on in the game we found out that the astronomy table minigame with setting up the stuff, lining up, depending on if your FPS is really high, it's gonna be like really fast, so you can even faster move the entirety of this puzzle. And therefore, since we don't want to have any hardware dependent strats on us, we ask to keep the game on 120 FPS, because many PCs able to run this game on 120. So please, you're allowed to 120 and everything here, of course, except uncapped. This is prerequisites. And there are two ways of showing this off. First of all, before the starting the run, like, you basically start the recording and you show here in the settings that you have the game capped on 120. And you can do this also on the end, because there's gonna be a small neat trick I'm gonna talk about that also basically shows that you have the FPS cap. But yeah, this is the first part. The second way you also can show off is if you have Riva Turner. Basically start it up, and here the game shows my FPS all the time. It is for me far preferably way because I see FPS all the time and I can tell is everything good or not. Second thing I would like to talk is the graphics. As you might understand, the Hogwarts Legacy Ragnarok run is a really long category. This is like, on average, I would say at least 4 hours and 30 minutes. This is really, really long. And that can be an issue, of course, for the runner. So this is a really challenging run. I would even say it is more than 4 and 30, but let's just state it. Even world record is like 317, it's not that much. It's still 3 hours, but I'd say still a long time for many people. And of course we're using the loadless timer, not the RTA timer, of course no hardware dependency. But yeah, of course, if you would like, first of all, if your PC of course can't handle the game quite well on other graphic methods, you set it in low. First of all, second of all, if you want to have really fast loadings, of course you can set everything on low, because it makes the game load stuff slightly faster. And of course, ray tracing, everything else turned off. Another stuff I would like to talk about is, well, everything here is not that important. Also here is not so important, of course, accessibility, it's up to you. Sadly, Arachnophobe mode isn't on this patch because they patched out too many stuff. Really cool one on it, so this one is up to you. And your preferences, the colorblind mode. The controls, well, in my case it is PC controls. Everything here is of course up to your choice. Except there is a small recommendation by me to actually have cast spell 1, this option, to have 2 binds. So it's binded to 2 buttons. It is also up to you which buttons these are. In the tutorial, I'll mention right now, but I'll also try to mention it as many times as possible, that I'll be discussing at mostly the basic, the default settings. The only non-default settings here are the dodge I have also on this button, and I have cast spell binded to this. And as I said, this is quite important to have these two with you. To have the secondary bind on this. And overall, that's it for the controls. Again, everything is up to you. And the most important part is, of course, the light split. So, of course, if you're running on Windows, this is more than accessible for you. If you're sadly running Linux, I have bad news. So let me quickly change. There you go, my scene. This is the light split for the game, currently mine. Of course, you can set it up. I'm gonna link down first of all to the blank splits. It is under, of course, the resources if you want to find it yourself. In the Hogwarts Legacy main board, it is there with any percent splits. And of course, if you know how to work with light splits, I don't really want to cover this out because it's not really my strongest part, the light split. And of course, there are a bunch of tutorials you can watch and find explaining how to work with them. But the important part is to activate the light split. The light split will, if you set Hogwarts Legacy, if you download the splits from the resources, it will automatically detect the game, and of course you will be able to set up the auto splitter. Everything will be good, and you of course be able to set up all the splitting points and etc etc. Not really interesting anything for you. So yeah, I think that's it for the setup part. It's quite long one, like 10 minutes. Wow, that's too much long. But yeah, see you guys in the part 1 of the tutorial, and I hope this is a really long part, but quite also a really important one, helped you out with a small setup of the game. But bye bye, see you in part 1.